George Goodwin's career at the Atlanta Journal is highlighted by his Pulitzer Prize-winning reporting of the 1948 gubernatorial election controversy.
The Talmadges, Herman Talmadge, had been getting votes from folks who were dead down in the Milam district of Telfair County. And the strange thing about these dead folks who were voting, they voted in alphabetical order. George reported that and reported it very well, with a lot of politicians throwing obstacles in his way.
He had made himself a name before that with his coverage of the worst hotel fire in the United States, the Weinkauf Hotel blaze in 1946. His persistence and the outstanding writing skills he honed as a journalist would be used in his lengthy career in public relations.
He literally started the first national agency south of Washington, D.C. in the United States. They came to George, asked him to become a public relations person and start an agency, and he did. Every agency since then has measured itself against George personally or Manning, Selvage, and Lee.
Being the standard bearer of communications, having been a former journalist, having brought tremendous integrity to the role, he had set the frame that others had to follow. And it's kind of critical when you look back of the role that communications played in the growth and the development of this city and his role in that.
He led perhaps the most successful PR campaign for the city of Atlanta, Forward Atlanta, in the 1960s.
I think it really started probably with Mayor Hartsfield, and Mayor Allen continued it, and George sort of personified it, that you got companies, even companies that were competitors, to agree that they would talk good about Atlanta. I think he coined the phrase co-opetition to help sell the city, even among airlines that were fiercely competitive, or utility companies or others in the business, retailers.
The Forward Atlanta campaign sort of put Atlanta really on the map.
Got out there because folks like George, who became the folks who created a message and produced the message, and it got part of everybody's PR efforts. It got part of our journalistic industry. It got part of our political industry.
And he served as a voice for the business community during this interesting time in Atlanta's history. It was interesting because we as a community were talking about a city too busy to hate. And he had the dubious honor of being the one to help facilitate that messaging. And I think he did that well.
George was coming out of the journalism world, dealing with people in the business world. And you got to remember that some business executives at that time didn't trust journalists because they were used to being perhaps sometimes criticized by them. And George had to bridge those two worlds.
As a former reporter, he's always been something of a seeker of truth. And he doesn't suffer fools. And he calls it as he sees it, which I think is always terribly important. He's also a lover of language, and language from George is always very precise.
George understood the power of messaging, and he also understood the all pieces of the community, and I think that comes from his journalistic background, that you could move the community through good journalism and good messaging.
What George did was set the standard for what a public relations professional would do in this city, and to serve as a citizen communicator, being a citizen first and a communicator second, was one of the most vital things that George did.
George is the godfather that helped create the public relations community and bridge the private sector with the journalistic marketing sector. He was there at the beginning. He helped write a lot of the fundamental rules of engagement that exist even today. And other marketing and PR firms afterwards are following in the giant footsteps of George Goodwin.